So in this video, I want to talk about from the very start, the beginning of my life, my childhood struggles, and then how that kept impacting my life throughout. So in the childhood, around like in fifth standard, I could figure this out that I'm having difficulty reading word problems. I had very good memory and I was very good into the crisis situation. So exams I was doing good, but whenever it comes to word problems and more complex mathematics and physics, that used to like I just couldn't, I wasn't able to focus into that. History, civics, those subjects which are not interesting to me, I was not focusing into that even in primary school as well. Now everyone says that yeah, it's okay, it happens with everyone, but for other people it gets better as they grow up. But because we are neurodivergent, we are born with lot of sensitivity, we are born very sensitive, so things do not get better for us. So inattentiveness, my ADHD is all like inattentive ADHD type, and it started getting worse after ninth standard. So after I went into high school, and I had to take physics, chemistry, math, and that went just very exhaustive. So up to that, I was good into painting, craft, and enjoying all those activities. So that used to still help me. But when the studies got over me, I just couldn't sustain. And every single day, I was not listening into any of my classes, my coaching classes, anywhere. And everyone was this preparing for the competitive exams, and I knew that I won't be able to do that. And I remember that day when after 12th, I tried to twice to attempt the competitive exam, and I was like just completely blank. So that's when our inner confidence starts getting very low, because everyone is able to do that. And that's when we that's when I started feeling that it's just if this is not, then what is there for me? Then somehow I just managed to get into engineering, that too after a lot of struggles. And then engineering itself was very heavy upon me. So my brain was just, I started experiencing brain fog, attentive issues right from my high school, and that continued throughout the engineering. And only at the time of exams, I used to study and then just give the exams. Coding was very difficult for me, so I got into computer engineering, and coding was just not my thing. I just couldn't process all those scenarios. Then yeah, everyone says it's going to get better, and you push hard and you work hard, you focus more. So I think that was my key issue, how to focus more, how to bring my focus without feeling tired and exhausted, without feeling overwhelmed and foggy, but no, without feeling that fatigue. And no one really tells us how. So everyone just asks us to do things, but no one tells us how to do that. Then communication, articulation, speaking and presenting was always has been this issue for me. So in my college, I used to live like a nerd. Like I didn't wanted to talk to anybody. I didn't really made any friend. I just had one friend, and she was the one who just accepted me for who I am, and she supported me a lot. So I'm grateful for that. So and then in the college, then everyone was preparing for different competitive exams and other exams, and that's when I started feeling that why I don't have the motivation. And I'm just, we start feeling that we are useless. That's what the feeling we get. And I think that feeling is so much into my daughter as well, that she often says that I'm useless. And it is not something that I make her feel, but it is something that that the feeling was so much inside me, inside my mom, inside my dad, that the kids automatically uh, takes on our those subconscious feelings and we don't realize. So until, that's why I say, until we as a parent we do not resolve our own inner child wounds, our children are never going to feel easy and feel safe and feel whole into themselves. So yeah, that was like so then there were like analytical exams and logical exams to get into the jobs. Again, I just somehow managed to get my job because I was not doing in good into any single analytical exams, and that again adds to so much of low confidence. And again, my parents were saying that everyone else is doing and why can't you just have to be more attentive, to practice more. So the practicing more itself was training for me. And moment you put a timer, like that happens in competitive exams and analytical exams, my brain would just used to go blank at that point of time. I just couldn't think anything. Even if I knew things, I couldn't do. I just used to feel that why are they putting this timer? Why can't they just make it easy? But yeah, that's how. So normal college assignments I was able to do, and as I said, like during the exam time, I used to prepare and just get at least barely passing. So yeah, and then I started working, and that's when I realized that like everyone started getting organized and more, what everyone else was so motivated towards learning, and they were just so absorbed into the work during the daytime, and they had so much zeal and energy and they wanted to learn, and I didn't, I was not experiencing any of that zeal or that motivation to learn. And I was just 23. So my dad said that at this age you should be very motivated, and I think he was telling me, but even he himself wasn't that, but he was just telling me to be motivated. And my mom also was quite strict with my performance and all those things. So she used to always ask me, how are you performing at work? And I just wouldn't tell them anything. And even I didn't knew, like I used to blame everyone around me. I used to blame my bosses, I used to blame my colleagues, I used to blame the system and everyone, because what should you do? Like everyone is doing it joyfully, they are able to serve in the world joyfully, and my mind was not able to serve in the world joyfully. uh, so yeah, the struggles kept going at my job. Articulation, communication, active listening, poor analytical skills, poor coding skills, poor reading, writing comprehension skills, not able to remember information, not able to recollect the information. So it used to just like my memory was just so less that I could only recollect what happened in the morning, barely. And that's like the constant overthinking used to exhaust me all the time. So I was never integrated, never this person who could speak for herself or take stand for herself. And then you just want to, like, just coming back from the work or on weekends, I used to simply go for shopping and I used to eat and just kind of suffocating all that anxiety every single day. So it was only suffocating, it was not releasing, because it is not a neurotypical anxiety that can be released with other activities. A neurodivergent anxiety cannot be released with the normal ways which people say, that normal stress management techniques, even I wouldn't say yoga or subconscious mindset work and affirmations, even regulating our nervous system. It is not about choosing one of these, it is about having that holistic integrated approach to understanding and bringing our brain back into the parasympathetic parasympathetic state, or at least closer to the parasympathetic state, so that it starts feeling in the moment again. That disconnection, we need to sort this out. And that's why, like, I'm just sharing all my struggles, so that it's not, again, neurodiversity is different for each person. So each neurodiverse person will have different neurodivergent trait. My trait and my daughter's trait are entirely different. My trait and my father's traits were entirely different. My daughter and my father's trait, or my trait, they do not match at all. But we are, with the three of us, and my mother's ADHD traits are entirely different. But we are, four of us are neurodivergent. I mean, we have been through that. So neurodivergent is nothing but it is simply reflecting that we are not able to serve in the world joyfully, happily, without getting stressed, overwhelmed. And that is what our brain is not able to experience, the joy in serving. So in taking from the world, yes, we are, obviously, so if we are not happy from inside, we are going to take the joy from outside. So that is why we need a very holistic, integrated approach to manage our neurodiversity, to help our neurodivergent brain. And we have to trust the power within us. And I cannot say enough on this, that it is what we believe. It is all about letting it go, all that generational emotional baggage. Why I say it is generational emotional baggage? Because now my daughter has not really experienced so much of negative experiences. She did had, obviously, she also had a lot of, she has faced abandonment, and she has faced so many things along with me. But she still hasn't experienced that, the anything in the world, like the way my mother's childhood was really difficult, if I compare to that. But it is not about that we will compare and make it harder for our children. We have to make the life easier for our children, because their energy is they are not energetically operating at the same level. And that is what we as a parent, we need to understand. So yeah, in this video I wanted to talk about my childhood and high school, and my struggles at my workplace. So, and how much hard it was for my neurodivergent brain to manage all that, and without getting stressed and overwhelmed. The key is, yes, everyone says, oh, I'm doing this, oh, I'm doing that. Are you able to do that without getting stressed and overwhelmed? If that is not happening, you are not going to really function in the world, and you are not going to thrive in the world. And that is absolutely for everyone, whether neurotypicals or neurodivergent. So unless we start understanding and building a deep relationship with our own mind and with our own physiology, things are not going to shift. So hope this inspires you to seek your own inner child integration work. Thank you. Bye.